munsi hari umuganda wo gutera ibiti by'imbuto, sibyo? Ibiti by'imbuto bidufasha mu guhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ibihe, tugira imirire myiza mu ngo zacu kubera kurya imbuto zezeho, ariko binaduhesha n'amafaranga iyo tubigurishije. Muzi ukuntu imbuto zihenda muri iyi minsi, murabizi mwese ko zihenda. Hanyuma ariko kubera ko ari ibimera nk'ibindi byose, bigira n'uruhare mu guhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere nyine, kuko ni igiti gifite amababi. Murabyumva? Iki gikorwa rero cyateguwe ku bufatanye bw'akarere ka Bugesera, naje mpagarariye. Amazina yanjye nitwa Mukunzi Emile, nshinzwe ibidukikije mu karere ka Bugesera. Twagiteguye dufatanyije n'umuryango mpuzamahanga wo kurengera ibidukikije IUCN. Turi kumwe n'umuyobozi wawo Mr. Charles, asuhuza abaturage mu muhamaki menshi cyane. Tunafatanya n'itsinda ritegura iki gikorwa cya Miss Rwanda cyo gutegura amarushanwa ya Nyampinga. Ba Nyampinga nabo bakagira uruhare mu bikorwa bifasha abaturage bigamije guhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere. Ariko by'umwihariko IUCN akaba n'umwe mu baterankunga b'iki gikorwa. Abafite televiziyo ngira ngo mujya muyibonaho IUCN ko iri mu baterankunga b'iki gikorwa cya Miss Rwanda. Ngashimira umuryango mpuzamahanga wo kurengera ibidukikije IUCN wahisemo ko dukorana nabo umuganda, dutera ibiti by'imbuto, duhangana n'imihindagurikire y'ikirere, tunateza imbere imirire myiza. Ngashimira abategura iyi gahunda ya Miss Rwanda. Bano bana bacumbitse muri hoteli yacu ya Bugesera ya Paris, bamazemo iminsi. Mu ntango z'iki cyumweru ku itariki ya 8 twafatanyije nabo kwizihiza umunsi mpuzamahanga w'umugore, twari turiririma. Twagize ibirori byiza. Uyu munsi baje kwifatanya natwe mu bikorwa by'amaboko by'umuganda, ntabwo byagenze neza. Nagira ngo rero mumfashe dushimire abo bose IUCN, dushimire abategura Miss Rwanda, kandi tunabizeza ko ibi biti dufatanyije nabo gutera tuzakomeza kubibungabunga. Siko bimeze? Imvura yacu ni nke, ariko umuntu arimenya. Iyo ufite imvura nke ukaba ushobora kubona amazi y'ikiyaga hano hafi, kuhira ibiti byawe bitatu, burya ntabwo uba wibeshye cyane. Nagira ngo rero mubampera amashyi menshi cyane, mubashimire.
Mu myaka 15, 18 ishize, iki gice cya Bugesera ubutayu. Ubutayu ariko n'ukuvuga ngo ibi biti mubona nta byari bihari. Ingaruka zari zihari rero nuko Bugesera ubusanzwe mu mateka y'u Rwanda cyari ikigega kigaburira igihugu cyacu. Ngiye kubabwira rero uko byagenze kugira ngo Bugesera ihinduke ubutayu. Muranyemerera mbibabwire? Mu myaka ya za 80 kuzamura kugera muri 90, ninde wibuka utumodoka duto twajyaga dutwara amakara tuyajyana i Kigali? Muratwibuka? Twuduto, aha, mwabyumvise kuri ya musaza tuzi. Icyo gihe umujyi wa Kigali wari utangiye kwiyongeramo abaturage, noneho kuko Bugesera yari hafi y'umujyi, ibiti byose byari bihari barabitema, bishiraho bikajya bigemura amakara muri Kigali. Ibyaje rero gukurikiraho haje kuba ubutayu. Siko byagenze? Bugesera ihinduka ubutayu kugeza ku rwego imvura yarabuze, murabyibuka. Imvura irabura burundu, inzara itera abaturage, ibibazo biravuka. Leta y'u Rwanda itangira gushyira imbaraga mu kongera gutera ibiti. Ngira ngo wenda ba Miss nituza gutaha, ibi biti byose muri Rwanda ntabwo byari bihari. Byatewe hagati y'imyaka 15 ishize. Ngira ngo kandi mu Bugesera musigaye mubona imvura nanone. Siko bimeze? Ubu kandi n'ibishyimbo birera. Aho! Ibishyimbo se ntibyera? Ariko ntabwo ari kimwe no mu myaka yashize. icyo rero bivuga ni iki? Uyu munsi igikorwa twaje gukora tugikorana na ba misi ni ukugira ngo twongere gukomeza gutera inkunga cyangwa se gufatanya namwe mu gukomeza kurwanya ubutayu mu karere ka Bugesera. Muri iyi myaka 5 iri imbere muri Bugesera, ngira ngo umuyobozi ushinzwe ibidukikije yabivuze, tuzakorana n'akarere ka Bugesera mu kurwanya ubutayu byibura ku buryo hazaterwa ibiti nko kuri hegitari 20,000. Impamvu dushaka gutera ibiti ni ukugira ngo dusubize akarere ka Bugesera kongera kuba ikigega gitanga ibyo kurya hirya no hino nk'uko mubibona. Nkaba ngira ngo mbashimire baturage mwaje kwifatanya natwe, ariko cyane cyane nshimire ba misi bacu. Ngira ngo mu kanya turaza kubigarukaho tubiganira, ariko aba ba misi n'abana banyu, ni bashiki banyu, ni barumuna banyu. Dufatanije twese muri uru rugendo, turabashimira cyane rero iki gikorwa mwadukoreye. Ibi bitanga ubutumwa bukomeye ku rubyiruko rw'u Rwanda yuko gutera ibiti.
Aha, amazina nitwa Muhinyuza Daniel, nkaba ndi umwarimu uyobora n'urusengero twakoreye kino gikorwa. Urusengero rwubatse mu kagari ka Nkanga mu mudugudu wa Gashoro. Iyo tugiye mu rwego rw'itoro paruwasi ni Nkanga. Ngira ngo nk'uko mwabibonye, itoro naryo ni umufatanyabikorwa wa leta mu kurwanya imirire mibi. Nk'uko mwabibonye dusazishije urutoki kubera igihe rumaze. Ubwo rero ni amahirwe twe nk'itoro dufite, kubera ko aho urutoki rwari runaniwe kugira ngo rwunganire imirire, imbuto zizakomerezaho. Insina nke zisigaye zizajya kurangira, hanyuma ibiti bikomerezaho. Ubwo rero natwe nk'itorero ni amahirwe kandi ni umugisha ko abakristo ndetse n'abaturage bacu bazarushaho kugira imibereho myiza.
Ni igikorwa mwakorewe n'abakobwa bakiri batoya bavuye muri Miss Rwanda. Murabashimira iki ko baturutse hirya no hino ariko bakaza gutera ibiti bivanywa n'imbutangaza?
Iki ni igikorwa kinejeje mu by'ukuri. Twajyaga twumva ba misi tukabibona ku mateleviziyo tukabyumva ku maradiyo, ariko kuba byaje iwacu ni amahirwe, ni umugisha, natwe twabyishimiye. Noneho kubona abana bacu ba Miss Rwanda baza kwifatanya natwe ni kimwe no bimenyetso by'uko ubuhinzi ari igikorwa cy'ingirakamaro. Biranejeje rero.
IUCN rero ninde? IUCN stands for International Union for Conservation of Nature. I can just stand like this and you will easily see it. So I don't need to read. This is all abbreviation. Okay. So it's one of the it's one of the oldest and biggest and the largest conservation organization in the world. Yeah? So nuwo muryango ukuze cyane, munini, kandi nibaza ko ushobora kuba ukomeye ku isi mu bijyanye na environment n'ibidukikije. Why do I say that? Because IUCN was established in 1948, right after the Second World War, with one single mission. The mission was conserve, protect, preserve the nature. I will tell you why the nature. Iyo niyo yari mission umuryango utangira. And it's a union of members. So IUCN has the largest network of NGOs. We have 1,300 members of NGOs. We have 200 government members. So countries like Rwanda is a member of IUCN. So we are intergovernmental organization. We have members of states, member of NGOs, member of private sector companies who are all members of IUCN. So it's a union. That's why it's called International Union for Conservation of Nature. And we stand for 3 things. We believe nature is the sole capital for production. Why? Niki muzi kibaho gishobora kuzana productivity kidashingiye kuri mother nature? What is it? You won't talk about business, you won't talk about agriculture, you won't talk about water, fish, meat, beef, livestock, infrastructure, investment, tourism. Ibintu byose tubona bishingiye ku kintu bita mother nature. And let me tell you something. So, because when I speak to you guys, I feel very privileged actually, because I'm talking to leaders, influencers, powerful Africans who are going to change this continent in the next decade. The reason why you're gonna do it is I turned 41 in February 6. I only have a couple of years again to work, and then I retire. But you are just coming. You are just starting. So you are the leaders. You are basically, I see hope in you. I see a lot of future in you. I see a lot of, I can't tell you how much I see in your eyes. I see success. I see prosperity. I see peaceful makers. I see politicians. I see influencers. I see business people. I see teachers. I see pastors. So you are basically full of potential, okay? So that's why I'm talking to you today. And from nature, you are the custodian. We are all custodian of nature, but you are the most custodian, because at least behind you, there are many generations that will build on what you have done to conserve and protect the Mother Earth. So IUCN stands for that cause. We want to preserve nature because we strongly believe that nature gives us a lot than what we give back. That's why we see the protection of biodiversity. Ndi umwana muto, and I did this article in Forbes. When you Google, just put Forbes Charles Karangwa. My articles are going to come. When I was 5 years old, I was born in a rural area in the village. And the house of my parents was at the edge of a forest. So when I was 5 years, 6 years, I used to go and fetch water close to the house. There was a very beautiful source of water close to the house of my parents. And in our neighborhood, there were very few people, but all of a sudden, people started coming to build houses there. So they had to cut the entire forest, which was there, kugira ngo bashobore kubaka aya mazu. So what happened, ya mazi twajyaga tuvoma hariya hirya, walking distance, clean water, extremely clean water. Umunsi umwe ngiye kuvoma, mbona ndi kuvoma ibiziba murabizi, cyangwa se ibiroha bitewe na region. Then I got shocked. I was like, what the hell is this? Ni iki cyabaye ko umugezi wari urubogobogo ndi kuvomamo ibiziba? As a young boy, I could not connect the cut of forest and the siltation in water, the mud in water. Because I couldn't connect that, I decided to walk extra miles to get clean water. So nakoze urugendo njya gushaka amazi ahandi kuko iyo soko ntiyagutware twari kuba tukiyivomaho. When I was 7, because of that forest, I was bitten by a wild dog here. N'ubu inkovu ndacyayifite. Nari ngiye ku ishuri niruka rwose mu gitondo n'agakabutura, imbwa iraza iranshakira gutya irandya. Kandi yari imbwa y'inyeshyamba. It was a very dangerous dog. Ibyo bita wild dog ni bazita ngo ni imisega. So my mom took me to the hospital, barandoda, bantera vaccine, baramvura, hanyuma mara iminsi bantera inshinge, kubw'amahirwe sinagira ibyo bita rash, bisazi, ndakira. But I could not connect why the animals in the forest are outside the forest, because we had already cut the habitat. Ubuturo bwazo twari twabugize gute bari babutemye. And my young sister also was bitten by a dog, same wild dogs, because there was too much of those animals in that time. And we couldn't understand why. But later when I grew up, that's when I understood that by cutting a forest, you are damaging water sources. You are affecting the livelihoods of people. By cutting forest, you are degrading agricultural production. By cutting forest, you are stopping rain. By cutting forest, that's why we planted the trees today. So the environment we depend on is the only common denominator, unifying source of humanity. Africa's population is going to increase significantly by 2050. But let me tell you what will not increase. What will not increase is the land where we source food, is the water that we drink, is the forest that we depend on for many things, including the clothes you are wearing today, including where we are sitting, etc. And because it's not going to increase, what we can only do today is to encourage leaders like you to preserve the environment, to play your role, all of us playing our part. I'm a social economist by training, and most of the work we do at IUCN, we look at the cost of degrading the environment versus our own life. In Rwanda, I would give you two stories. In Rwanda, for example, every 1 hectare of land, every year, ubutaka bungana na toni hagati ya 60 na toni 300 zitwarwa n'amazi. 60 to 300 tons of top, good, fresh, productive soil is taken by water and goes into water every year. Now the question is, if we continue that, do you think we will have food in the next 10 years? Now imagine all that topsoil, which should be used for agriculture, if we continue to let it go. What is the impact of that soil in the rivers? The impact is the hydroelectricity will not be produced. I'll tell you a story. I did a study in 2009, nakoranaga n'ikigo cy'abanyamerika icyo gihe ku abantu bazi Gisenyi. Iyo ugiye kwinjira mu mujyi wa Rubavu, munsi hari ahantu hari urugomero rw'amashanyarazi yitwa ngira ngo Gihira. So that mini hydro stopped working for 8 years. It couldn't generate electricity because of siltation and dumping soil into water. Turbine ntabwo yashobora gutunda kubera ubutaka bwinshi mu mazi, kubera ko imisozi yo hejuru za Gishwati n'ahandi twari twamaze kuyitemagura, amashyamba twayamazeho. It's not only about the forest. It's also about water we drink. Amazi tunywa uyu munsi mu Rwanda akoresha imiti myinshi cyane kubera biriya bitaka mubona. Buriya nimubona tuyanywa asa neza, it takes a very long process. Iyo dushaka kubyumva, mujya nk'ahantu amazi bayatunganyiriza, usanga ibitaka ari byinshi cyane bayakuyemo. So we need to think about, as a generation, that is going to make a difference. I'm believing, and I'm believing so. You are going to make a very big difference in our economy, in our environment, in our society. And I love your projects. They are all amazing projects. They are transformative projects, creating jobs for young people, environment, gufasha abakobwa bagira ibibazo byo guterwa amada. I keep following you very closely. I like all the projects. But let me tell you something very important. Dufite only one mother nature. Only one. There's no second mother nature. And the climate change is a reality. It's happening because of our actions. And I want to encourage all of you to stand up and raise your voices for nature. Nature does not speak for itself. Do you know how nature speaks? Nature speaks through disasters. That's how nature reacts. it reacts by killing people, by refusing to give us water, by refusing to give us rain, by refusing to give us food. That's how nature reacts, because it doesn't speak for itself. Uko dukomeza rero, the more we continue to degrade, damage nature, tumeze nk'aba bandi batema igiti cy'ishami bicayeho. What I'm trying to do this morning, I'm instilling a zeal, a courage, a will, a motivation, dedication, commitment for you guys to stand for nature. It will pay back. Protect nature, nature will protect us. Yeah? And there's only few of actions we can take, right? There is no small change. If it's your voice on the radio, it's a big one. If you encourage young people to do it, it's a big one. If you plant a tree, it's even much better. But if you plant a tree and protect that tree and grow that tree, it's even a double return. Because we plant many trees, but they don't grow. I hope some of you will go back to that site and see if the trees you planted today have grown back. So as I speak to leaders, because I see leaders, all of you guys, you are leaders. Very great leaders, actually, the powerful women of this continent, the visionary, the passionate, the change maker. You are. Nature needs your voice. Nature needs your energy. Nature, our mother nature, needs your action. Because otherwise, we only have one. If we lose it, we are gone. And I want to encourage you. I know most of you are on Netflix. Muzarebe filime y'umuntu bita DiCaprio yasohoye hambere aha. Yitwa ngo iki? Huh? Do you know DiCaprio? Don't look. Na muntu uzi iyo movie, Don't Look Up. Do you know in that movie? Did you watch the movie? Don't Look Up, with DiCaprio. So that movie is about climate change, and I will hand over to Valerie in a minute. So in that movie, there were scientists who were telling a story that actually there is a comet that is going to fall, and it is going to kill everyone. Please watch that movie. I don't want to interpret a movie, but when you watch that movie, you realize how much we keep saying, we can do it tomorrow. It's okay. But guys, climate change impact is approaching us more than you can believe. So we're happy to respond to questions. I didn't want to go into a lot of economics, but there's a lot of cost that we pay by not protecting and restoring nature. As a matter of fact, if you take $1 and invest that dollar in protecting the mother nature, what you get $30 in return because of different ecosystem services you get, water, food, etc., etc. So I encourage you to be the voice of our mother nature. I encourage you to take action, and we are behind you. We're going to support you guys. Thank you. I'll invite my colleague to come in and speak to you, and then we will hand over to you for questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning. I hope you're all well. I think I'll take from where Charles left. I think it's a very amazing privilege to be sitting here today with you, talking to you. As IUCN, we value the importance of leadership because you know how important leaders are in our world. They make decisions. This could be political decisions. This could be social development decisions. Could be also decisions that changes people's lives completely. So while I'm sitting, I'm just thinking, wow, for many years we have been talking about environment, but today we start in a different way. Let me start by saying my name is Valinabo Kabagari. I don't expect you to remember my full name. You can call me Vali. I'm from South Africa. I'm working for IUCN as the country director in South Africa. I had the privilege of spending a week in Tanzania last week. So this week we thought, let's do another trip in Rwanda. It's my first time in Kigali, so thank you for such a very beautiful country. And joining you this morning, not only did it remind me of some of my childhood, but it also reminded me of the reality of the environment that we live in. You have the privilege to go and plant trees, of the fruits that you're not going to be able to eat, of the shade that you're not going to be able to sit underneath. But you did that for someone else. You did that for the children in that particular region and also for the community. What kind of support is that you give to the next person when you know very well that that person cannot be able to repay you back? So, in essence, the awareness that we are raising as part of this drive is to say, you can actually be a better person by providing support, by providing leadership to an environment where you know very well to be a leader is to serve. Let's agree on this one. For you to be a leader, you need to serve. So there's no leader who does not have followers. If you're a leader and you look behind you and there's no one behind you, that means you're not a leader. So as a leader, we look at you, we get inspired by hearing from you, we get motivated, and then we go and do things that are aligned to your dream. What does that mean? There's a saying that a community of elders that plant trees that they won't be able to sit under and they won't eat those fruits, it's a future community. They know very well that tomorrow you're going to have intense rainfall. You're going to have such high temperatures. You're going to need food. You're going to need fruits. You don't have to spend, by go plant your trees, and by the end of every season, you'll be able to harvest those fruits that you need to use, or the fruits that you should be buying from the markets. As IUCN, we are looking at leaders, and the leaders of tomorrow, it's you. People who have got all the energy, you've got all the access to information. If you go to your social media, we can talk about leadership in terms of environment, leadership in the economic world, leadership in terms of social development, and in the climate change space. Simply because over the years we've been talking about climate changing. It's getting hot. We are seeing more floods. We are seeing more disasters, more landslides. And that denies us the right to a healthy environment or a healthy ecological system. The environments that you come from, they don't look the way they were 10 years ago. The environment that we come from, they don't look the way they are today, the way they were 10 years ago. And the question is, with all these changes, what are we doing and how best do we respond? We want to respond because we know that there's science information. So we've got facts that things are changing. And for us to be able to base our decision, we need to use this fact, this science to say, truly speaking, the environment is changing. And it is also associated to the impacts of climate change. So things, the rainfall pattern, the temperatures, the seasons are changing. And that has got an impact on our environmental system. So we use that information because it's already there, it's tested. Then we can be able to make decisions based on that information. You're going to need facts about yourself to make certain decisions. You're going to need facts about any topic so that you can be able to offer your own opinion. Unfortunately, we live in a very gullible world wherein fake news trends more than the reality. You want to be on social media and get all the likes, but the reality is that that's not the reflection of who you are. But if you build a cause that is of your community, if you build a cause that, how many of you have seen Oprah Winfrey doing a show? You know Oprah Winfrey? She has transcended over the decades of work. Being a young black presenter in the 80s, it was not an easy road for Oprah to get where she is today. But look what she did. All the challenges that came, all the differences that came, she said to everybody, I'm gonna stand firm. I'm gonna go above. I'm not going to drown by the noise, because the noise is going to be there, but identify your course and walk the course. As IUCN, we've identified multiple areas of work, including climate change, conservation, forests, landscapes, social livelihoods, because we know this world cannot move without water. All of you had breakfast this morning, isn't it? Did it just pop in your dining? You didn't. Someone had to plant it, fertilize it, water it, nurture it, and deliver it to where it's supposed to be. So it's a whole value chain that each one of you are part of. Not only part of it, but also can be able to identify solutions to say, we want to do it better. So this is an opportunity for us to engage with you today to say, climate change is a reality, true. In South Africa, we have seen this over the years. We have lost many lives because of climate change, because of floods. We have lost many infrastructures because of floods and climate change. But today we are saying, do we want to keep on losing? We don't want to see that trend. Few weeks back, if not days, one of the bodies that is an international body that deals with climate change science, they then came again to assure us that it is a reality that climate change is happening in Africa, and we need more work to be done. We cannot do this our work by ourselves, but we need the generous inputs and also work that we can do as young leaders. So we are saying, in your journey that you're taking as the leaders of tomorrow, climate change is one of the topical issues that you may want to lead on. Climate change is one of the issues that you want to think through and say, how does it affect me as a person? How does it affect me with my community, my country, and my continent at large? Opportunities are galore. Make no mistakes. Opportunities for young ambassadors are galore. Opportunities for young leaders are available. Scholarships, there are many of them that are available to assist you in terms of addressing the need in terms of capacity. We need to be training you in other areas. We need to be sharing your skills in other areas and also making sure that you can be able to give back to your communities. So in one way or the other, I've always felt that I'm a son of Africa, so whenever I get an opportunity to speak in Kigali, I will do so. This is part of my giving back. This is part of my work, and I love meeting young people. So all the best with this contest, and I hope one day we'll go back to that community and sit under those trees. Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you so much for the good conversation. My name is Bahali Ruth, and I heard that you do a lot of advocacy about Mother Nature, but have you ever thought of making a radio drama or a TV series? Because I think that's a way to reach the larger population in terms of advocating for such an interesting topic of Mother Nature. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name's Ndahiro Queen, and I'm contestant number 42. So first, when they were doing the introduction, they told us to seize the moment. So I wanted to share some of the ideas I had about environmental conservation, because I recently did a study and I came up with ideas. So if you can allow me, I can do some presentation there while others are still asking the questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Uimana Janete. My sign name is this. I'm a deaf. So I've seen that you are walking around environment. The thing that I want to request, we have a Kigali Deaf Art Gallery is walking around environmental, recycling things to protect climate change and environment. So I want to link you with Kigali Deaf Art Gallery, if possible. The second thing is my project is about working with people with disability, and I'm asking myself if you can link people with disability and climate change. If the answer is yes, I'm a volunteer to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Divine Chuti Neto. I have a question. How many countries does IUCN work in? And what are the major challenges you face? Thank you.
Let me start from the last. How many countries working? IUCN, as I said, is a quite a global organization. So we have presence in 190 countries globally. When we say 190 countries, we also count what we call states. So, for example, you may be in the United States. It's very big with many states. If we are in 4 to 10 states, then because they are independent way of looking at that. So we are quite present in many countries. Yeah, I think you asked quite an interesting question about the challenges. Let me tell you something very interesting about IUCN. So when the IUCN started in 1948, we were mostly focusing on saving species. So animals, the type of trees, wildlife species, basically. It was a typical conservation organization. In 1970s, IUCN introduced for the very first time globally a term called sustainable development. So what is sustainable development? Who can give me a definition of sustainable development?
Thank you. I would say a sustainable development is a development where we don't need to always work on it. It can always stay growing, whether or not we're still investing in it.
I was looking for any other addition, but you are very right. So sustainable development was introduced by us in the 1970s exactly to mean we need to create a process where development of today does not compromise the development of future generations. So that's what we call sustainability. And when we started that, there was a number of challenges. That time, it was a peak of industrialization globally. Then the carbon emissions had started, cut off forests from the 1950s. Some of the countries completely destroyed their countries, totally. And those challenges keep growing. Today we are talking about more even a complex structure of development that actually doesn't even care about nature. Doesn't care. That's why you can see some of the countries, you take a road, you put it in a park. Some problem. Today you take an industrial, you put it in a wetland. Do you know what it means when you build a house in a wetland? Ntuye ahantu bita Rusororo, mu gihe cyashize muri Bukaroreta ikura abantu mu bishanga. Mwabonye imyuzure yakurikiye ibyo yakoze? It was a chaotic. So imagine if we take our wetlands and build houses there. So we are developing, but actually, so the challenges we are facing is exactly a political conflict between environment and development. So there are a space of where we need to think about how to solve it. IUCN works to influence policies, to influence actions. So we are looking at that. And of course, we are in a world where those who have more money controls everything, and sometimes it is done at the cost of many people's livelihoods. So that's the other challenge of really practices that are not friendly to protecting the environment. There's quite a lot at the small scale level, deforestation. You can't believe that deforestation rate is extremely accelerating. So there are many challenges we face, and then you face a lot of political pushback. So a government decided to dig a dam in a forest, in a protected area. How do you do that? So ni ibintu nk'ibyo by'ibibazo biba biri ku rwego ruri politiki, ariko noneho even at the financial level we are facing crisis of mobilizing finance for environment. So it remains another sector which is underfunded, yet only Mother Nature can save us. So there are all those challenges, but at UCN, we are not a solver of problems, but we think, research, we are a science-based organization. We have what we call commissions, composed of 16,000 senior, highly respected scientists globally. You can join some of those commissions. If you're interested in the World Commission on Protected Area or social policy or economics, you can always join. We love encouraging young people to join because there's a lot of learning opportunities there. So we are working to try and fix that. So the other question was how we use the technology, the series of videos. So I think this is where we need you. Some of the people who were with IUCN in the 70s, in 48, they are very old to know even how to use a computer. So today, you guys, I see how people play. I have a daughter of 15 years old, and she keeps following you every day. She put a video together in less than 15 minutes. And you wonder, how did she do it? So I can't do it, unfortunately. So those are the kind of talents we need to use, actually, for nature. That's why I said we need your voice, we need your action for nature. I like the proposal, and I will have to have a direct conversation with the art gallery, because as a matter of fact, globally, I was in Glasgow in November for the COP. One of the debates we had was how do we make climate inclusive? The climate impact does not select. It touches everyone. Floods does not select if you are harya ubungubu tuvuga ngo iki abantu babana n'ubumuga, right? Bafite ubumuga. So ntabwo baba epargne ngo nuko oya climate change ize umwuzure inzara kubura imvura, it's everyone. But so we need to make it inclusive even in taking action. So I think I will follow up with you. I'm going to leave you with my card and my email, and then probably my colleague as well will definitely follow up with that project. I don't know, Val, if you want to come in.
Just to add on the art part, I think it's a very interesting one. There have been a lot of movies that were being done in Hollywood that talks about climate change. I mean, most of them, they are meteorological movies, hurricanes. But let's do simple things, like drama, as you're saying, you know? Let's write comic books. Most of the people, they love comic books. Let's write short stories. You know, as I was growing up, we used to sit around the fire with my family, and then we'll talk about the old night stories. And then they also tell you how things have changed over the years. That kind of information, those kind of books, we don't find them anywhere in our bookstores. Our generation is dependent on YouTube, Netflix, this and that, and we leave the indigenous knowledge behind. So it's important that we go back to say, how do we communicate with everyone? There are people who love comic stories. There are people who love short stories. There are people who will love to read a big fiction around climate change. So this is something that we really welcome from you. Some of you, if you are keen in terms of writing, and some of you are bloggers. Like, for example, you can just blog about climate change, one way or the other. You can even have live on interviews online. You can just say, look, Charles, I want us to get on YouTube just for 10 minutes, talk about climate change, and then we reach out. Can we get your colleague from South Africa, and then we talk about this? I'm very interested in having the same conversation in South Africa with the beauty pageant team, and go beyond the normal people that we usually talk to when we talk about environmental issues. Thank you. Please, you're invited.
So thank you. So this is the first sentence I wrote. Our actions made the problem, and our actions will solve them. So this is one of like the action I thought. So the big question is, why are we cutting down trees? To get charcoal, right? And why are we declining in terms of crop production? It's because of damaged soil. So in terms of like solving the cutting down trees part, I thought of making briquettes. So they are like round shaped things. Unfortunately, they're already doing them in Rwanda, but only one, it's like an organization, it's only one. It can't satisfy the whole market. So I thought, why can't I be the second? And yeah, so in terms of waste disposal, I thought of respective dustbins, like classified, solids, liquids, and harmful substances. So when they are collecting them, it becomes easier and faster. And then this Keep Kigali Clean, I think it is a project. And I thought if people were like understanding and collaborative, this got to happen. And Kigali is one of the cleanest cities. And so if we also advocate for like respective dustbins, I think it will work too. So yeah, the big question is, what will maybe I do with the harmful substances, these harmful substances? Because when they are put in the soil, they get to damage the soil and we decline in like crop production. So I thought maybe we would treat them with chemicals. Yeah, and if we have like a classified waste disposal for them, they won't get mixed in the soil. So yeah, it's vast, but this is the summary. Thank you.
So let me tell you a story. Do you know how Steve Jobs started Apple? Who knows that story? He was a man who just liked to do arts, yeah? To draw things. They pushed him to go to school. He refused. He was raised by not his parents, actually, because he was a son of a single mom who was not able even to raise him. So then the single mom give that boy to a wealthy family. A wealthy family tried to educate him. But every big ideas that you will see in the world have started very small. You see, this simple drawing from, what's your name? Queen. This can be a factory. This can be an industry. This can change how we look at waste management, treatment. This is actually an idea which simply people can buy billions. So I think I would encourage you to continue perfection your project. We have a couple of team who can help you to think even bigger, who can facilitate even seeing where it's done, and probably learn from others how is it done, and etc. So let's definitely keep in touch. We are available, very, very committed to make your voice heard, to make our voice heard for nature. But also we are discussing some very interesting program and projects with the Donen and his team. How do we actually make the voice of young people heard about climate? Not in Europe. We don't need to make our voice heard in Europe. We need to make our voice heard with our politicians at home. Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Charles Karangwa. I'm working for IUCN. IUCN is the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and I work as a country representative for Rwanda.
All right. So can you please give us a bit more information about IUCN Rwanda?
Well, IUCN is a global organization with a mission to protect, conserve, and preserve nature, the Mother Earth, and exists in many countries. So in Rwanda in particular, we opened our office in 2016 with a mission to support the government of Rwanda in protecting, conserving, managing its natural resources sustainably.
Thank you very much. So today, the 20 contestants, together with IUCN, took part in a joint project early on this morning. Please tell us about that.
Yeah. This morning we had a privilege to go with all the contestants to plant trees, and a function was not just about planting the trees, but was really aiming at engaging these young leaders of tomorrow in understanding their role in being stewards of the environment and managing this beautiful planet we have. So, in addition to engaging and working with communities in planting trees, and today we planted mostly fruit trees for many reasons, right? Fruits are needed in the country, not only for nutrition purposes, but also for the market, to generate more jobs for young people, and of course, nutrition. But trees also, it's a good representation of the future we are looking at, right? You are preserving the environment not only for us but also for future generation. So trees represents a hope for a future generation. So that's the message, and that's the purpose of today, was to engage with the contestants in understanding their role in environmental management, in addressing or contributing to solving the challenges that the planet is facing in terms of environment, climate change, etc.
Definitely. Speaking of the role, what is the role of the youth or these young girls today in IUCN's role in helping them achieve that?
IUCN's role is to influence and deploy capacity needed for leaders, including these young leaders, in taking action. So, and if you ask me the role of these young leaders, for me, when I look at them, I see great women who are going to influence how decisions are made in the political space, how investment are made in business, but also how social community and cohesion is going to continue happening. And as they play that role, the role of the mother nature as our only mother we share and the only planet we have for the humanity, I think protecting it, preserving it is a very important. So my discussion this morning was really again to bring that message out to the contestants that you are the leaders of tomorrow. You have a role to play, and there's no small action. And IUCN, of course, will continue to enable, to provide the tools, to support, to mobilize such kind of movements of leaders, including young leaders and young generations, for future protection of the mother nature.
Yes. So speaking of protecting nature, where do you see the youth of tomorrow? Do you think they're going to be able to preserve and protect the nature the way people of today are trying to enable it to be done?
Actually, they will even do it better because they now understand that it's the only source of capital we have, right? So if you take our beautiful country, Rwanda, the nature is a big capital of our lives, not only for our economy because we depend on agriculture, but also we depend on tourism, which is also nature. So our economy globally depends very much on nature. So nature, we need nature probably more than the nature needs us, right? So protecting nature is a responsibility. It's not something we should negotiate. So the role of these young leaders then is to continue voicing that message, both for business, investment. The world is moving very fast in industrialization. What does it mean for nature, for our beautiful parks and biodiversity? How do we make sure that our voice to preserve those beautiful ecosystems are heard? And these young leaders, of course, will play their role. Remember, these are the business investors for tomorrow. And this message, clicking in their mind every day, means they can't actually compromise the mother nature's role in supporting their investments. So that's what we wanted to give as a message, and that's what I see as their role in the future.
Okay, so lastly, what word of encouragement can you give the 20 contestants so that they know that even though there is only one crown, they can be able to continue the things that they have learned from this camp, especially what IUCN has brought to them in terms of knowledge about conservation as well as preserving nature?
I have 2 or 3 key words to say to the contestants. Already you made it. By getting this far, you should celebrate yourselves, your brain, your mental resilience, but also your beauty. So you made it already. That's already a huge thing. People should understand that being one of the 20 contestants, it's already a huge achievement. And by thinking so, support each other, including supporting the final Miss Rwanda, who will only be one. The second is there's a lot to learn through this process, networking. But also, I mentioned it this morning to some of the contestants, the fact that they spend time together, they bring that bond and closeness, which helps to kill and remove the ego in them. So selfishness and ego is being progressively removed. And that's what actually, that's a virus for the humanity. Everyone trying to put his own interest in ahead and then forgetting that we live as community, as a society. And then finally, being one of the 20 contestants, I think, opens a lot of network, a lot of opportunities. So we'll continue to engage with them in their projects to support their thinking, but also to give them platform to give their voice for nature.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Muri 20 basigaye 19 barigiza nkana kukumira ukumbi ari uzambikwe kamba muri finale ya Miss Rwanda 2022. Hesha amahirwe wawe umuto rukanda akanyenyeri 544 akanyenyeri 1 akanyenyeri umubare umuranga mu irushanwa urwego no ku rubuga igihe.com. Kuko uwa mbere mu matora azahita habwa umwanya mu 10 ba mbere top 10. Finale izabera Rusororo kuri Intare Conference Arena ku itariki 19 Werurwe 2022. Tunajyamwe ibicu n'abanyeshuri b'ishuri rya muzika RSAM n'igitangaza mu bitangaza Bruce Melody. Gura itike yawe hakiri kare ku bihumbi 10 ahasanzwe 20 muri VIP na 30 muri VVIP. Ku muryango ku munsi nyirizina n'ibihumbi 20 ahasanzwe 30 muri VIP na 50 muri VVIP. Amarembo azafungurwa saa 11. Show itangira saa 1 zuzuye. Ufite itike wese yemerewe gutwarwa na bisi zabugenewe kuva kuri Stade Amahoro kugera ku Ntare hagati ya saa 9 na saa 12 z'umugoroba, na nyuma ya show zibagarura ku Mahoro. Urasabwa kuba warahawe inkingo zose za COVID-19 no kwipimisha mu masaha 48 mbere y'umunsi nyirizina. Ntimuzacikwe. Miss Rwanda 2022 yatewe inkunga na Africa Improved Foods, Bella Flowers, Forza Gaming, Africa Medical Supply, Hyundai Rwanda, Volcano Express, University of Kigali, Intare Conference Arena, La Palisse Nyamata, IUCN, East African Promoters, Merez Petroleum, Rwanda Forensic Laboratory, Makuza Peace Plaza, Copa Telecom, Igihe Limited, Smart Design, Ian Collection, Keza Salon, Bisa Deco, HDI Rwanda, Diamond Smile Dental Clinic, Céline d'Or, Auto Express Garage, Goodaf, HD Design, Primus. Drink responsibly. RBA, nah.
Bank of Kigali, financially transforming lives.